So then, how should atheists then censure themselves? So then, nihilism doesn't recommend that its adherents live a life of moral turpitude. Neither does it suggest that they become the next Mother Teresa for all the good or bad that we think of her. Again, nihilism doesn't imply any oughts. It would be perfectly consistent with nihilism for you to force the entire human race into harsh, cruel slavery. So, too, would it be consistent with nihilism to always put others' needs and desires above our own?
Yeah, again, it doesn't tell us what we ought or should do or what we shouldn't do, right? It says there isn't anything like
so
that.
Do whatever
that
you
does
want.
not exist, right? That's the basic idea.
And I think here's a really good point. If nihilism is true, we're not bound by any morality. Of course, we might be persuaded or coerced to behave in accord with other people's views of morality for fear of untoward repercussions. And we would call these laws and rules and societal
and
norms. I mean, I think that's a big thing. It's why does the serial killer go out and try and cover up his crimes? Well, he knows that there's repercussions that would stop him from doing what he wants to do, what he views right in his own eyes. He wants to murder people indiscriminately, and so he knows not to kill people close to him. He knows to try and not leave any DNA.
Right.
That there's an understanding that there are negative consequences from a society at large.
Right.
But you could just go to the Genghis Khan's you keep what you kill type deal. So you're encouraged to murder indiscriminately and challenge each other for roles, or the mirror universe of Star Trek. If you kill the captain, you become the captain, and so it's
wow.
All the good stuff from there. So
we're not bound by any morality with regard to nihilism.
Just because there might be something in the way that stops you from acting in the way that you might want to, that doesn't answer the question of moral laws. It just says, there might be societal laws, but you can always overcome them. There's always a way to negate the law. We can choose which moral laws we prefer, and even if it's deterministic biology ultimately dictates our preferences, we are, in that sense, autonomous. Autonomy, you'll recall, is really the most important thing that humans can value, according to Enlightenment thinkers. And so, man is condemned to be free, condemned because he did not create himself, yet nonetheless free, because once cast in the world, he is responsible for everything he does.
Yeah, so that's that's existentialism. That's the basic idea of existentialism.
Yeah.
We're free to act this way, but as a result of that, we are in despair and forlornness, because now all of our choices are so important and meaningful. We determine what humanity is like by our various choices, right? I think the idea here is let's see. So the idea here is choice in terms of our autonomy is the important thing in this kind of thing, idea.
So nihilism is applied by naturalism. This does seem to take the rhetorical wind out of the atheist's conscious sail.
What I was going to say is existence precedes essence. That's the cry here. Right? We find ourselves in existence. We don't have an essence because, at least in terms of atheistic existentialism, then we have to come up with our own essence, our own purpose, our own reason for being, and that comes out of our choices. Our choices determine our value. So that's the kind of basic idea of existentialism.
Right.
And he's kind of nodding toward that here in this particular statement.
Which is just, you have to be good with what you do, and that's how you find value and purpose. But that, again, that doesn't talk about whether it's right or whether it's moral or whether it's good or whether it's correct. I could say, the Black Dahlia killer was really good for police because it caused them to reevaluate their detective skills and how they view, those type of serial crimes. And so, even though they never caught the person, it was good for the Black Dahlia killer to murder people. Well, not maybe not quite. Maybe not the route that we want to go down. Recall that some authors' favorite target is the great evils inflicted upon the world in the name of religion. These ills are often paraded out in grand fashion, as if everyone just knows that these are evil. Of course, these ills feel evil, but the atheist is acting in bad faith by citing moral wrongs and arguments against religions. In response to any act of alleged wickedness that the atheist points to, we can always reasonably ask, well, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, so you can't say that if you are an atheist and naturalism leads to nihilism, then you can't condemn, these various what you think are religious evils or things done wrongly, great evils done wrongly in the name of religion, because there isn't any wrong, morally speaking, or right, morally speaking, right? And so how can you condemn this is immoral? Well, no, because that doesn't exist, indeed, if naturalism leads to nihilism.
Right.
If
you're being consistent, if your words would have the proper meanings, yes. All we can say is we don't like it.
Yeah, so yes. Right.
However, there is an ought nearby. Ooh, those nasty oughts. Yeah. Nihilism combined with other values commonly held by atheists suggests that they ought to stop arguing against the immorality of religions. Imagine that. Dwayne is an atheist who, in addition to being a nihilist, values rationality and logic consistently. Oh, that's good. He's halfway there. I think we can see that on our own terms, Dwayne's behavior ought to, prudentially speaking, reflect his nihilism. And what might such belief actions consistently looks like? Well, not like the following. Suppose Dwayne is arguing that religion is evil or morally wrong because he believes that it condones or even encourages oppression, hatred, and murder. Fair enough. His feelings about religion are neither true nor false. Feelings aren't those kinds of things. The problem with his attempt to provide moral reasons for opposition to religion. It's odd that Dwayne would try to convince others of the correctness of his moral view. Yeah, that is weird. He might appeal to moral values that he shares with his audience. You don't believe in slavery, do you? The Bible allows for slavery, so why do you view that icky thing? But it would be, in some sense, inconsistent for him to appeal to these values as something to which everyone is bound. He might as well argue his preference for chocolate over vanilla precedes reasons for us to change our own preferences. Right. And I like chocolate ice cream, and that's why you shouldn't enslave people. Right. And then, of course, you always have to bring up The Big Lebowski, as any good treaty on nihilism is. There's a movie that no Christian should watch, but it's hilarious, and the nihilist interacts with one of the characters and says, "It's not fair," and then one of the other characters yells back, "Who's the nihilist around here? It's not fair. What does that even mean?" Yeah. So that's the point. Is anytime that you want to engage in a moral type of argumentation or persuade anyone through moral means, you can say, I believe this is icky. Let's all band together in the knowledge of its ickiness, or the understanding of its ickiness. Right. And then
the belief in its ickiness or whatever. Yeah.
And then let's make laws that pass that. Okay, that's fine. But then, how does the nation of Ick, go up against, Germany or Stalin or Mao or, any, Papua New Guinea and or whoever tends to view cannibalism as good. I don't know my history of Papua New Guinea to say that they believe in cannibalism. We probably
need to be careful.
Yeah. So probably someone that won't ever watch this show is involved in you have people in different countries who try and engage in cannibalism through contract. I mean, that's been known, and it's viewed as illegal. But it's only illegal because there's a law that says, no, this is not a norm we want to practice here. And again, those laws point to, what does a law do? It's like a tax. It precludes or attempts to dissuade people from engaging in a behavior. And so what you're saying then is, by engaging in whatever behavior you want through nihilism, your behavior will then reflect. And so why do we want to discourage murder and even aggravated assault or punching people? Because we could come to understand that even through a simple fight, which we wouldn't want in a first priority, the later priority down the road is we wouldn't want it to escalate into something like a murder. And then the valuation of human life comes into play there. But again, that's all based on preference if you're being consistent.
Right. So why aren't there more nihilists? And why, since naturalism leads to that, notice the argument as we've seen previously. If there is no God, if nature is all there is, then with regard to morality, it's just, and it's what people value. That's
Right.
all it is, right? And so we all have different various values. There is no absolute standard for the values that everybody ought to have, and that's the idea of nihilism, right? And so so why isn't everybody who is a naturalist more nihilistic? Well, he's given us some arguments here. They don't like it. Basically, is what it's icky.
Right.
Right. And but he says that they should. Nihilism is the position then that there is no moral laws or standards, right? And that's the way it is. It's just what people prefer, right? And so he's trying to make this point in chapter 18.